So a little bit of introduction. The STAR program, which stands for Safety, Training, Awareness, and Recognition, was developed as a tool to aid NUCA members in evaluating, updating, and recognizing their company's safety program and practices. Members who volunteer to participate should see lower incident rates and accidents across the board. So a little backstory on the NUCA STAR program. I was approached late last year by Doug, and he had a vision of a safety program that he wanted to introduce to NUCA members. So with the collaboration of Doug, Chris, the safety committee, a lot of brainstorming sessions, we were able to come up with an acronym, and the NUCA STAR program was born. So with the STAR program, the 4 key areas covered in the self-evaluation process include procedures, records and data management, culture, and leadership. Under these 4 core areas are subcategories, which I'll go into detail farther into the PowerPoint. As a note, I want to, when I completed the outline for the NUCA STAR program, I sent that out for review to Kirk Blumgren, who is the chairman of the safety committee, Julie Hanson of STC, and George Kennedy, who was the former director of education, training, and safety. If you don't know who George is, but I think everybody knows George Kennedy. So it was sent out to them for review, some insight that they added to, took away, and so it wasn't just a collaboration of, or just an idea of my own. It was a collaboration of 4 to 5 different people. Under procedures, the subcategories are investigation process, accident and incident response procedures and policies, safety rules and policies, toolbox talks and trainings, inspection processes, personal protective equipment procedures, vehicle and mobile equipment procedures and policies. So under these subcategories, I want to also add that we are introducing a new learning management system. So if members do need any additional training, say in maybe accident investigation procedures, we will have resources available. And also, if there's parts of this NUCA STAR program that you don't quite understand, you're always more than welcome to reach out to me or Kirk. And if you feel like that you go through this and there's a deficiency in an area, or you might need training in a certain portion of this, feel free to reach out to me. And if I don't have the resources available, we can add that to our training catalog. Records and data management is documentation and record keeping of policies and procedures. This is one of the shorter subcategories. As of right now, there's no plans to expand in this area, because what I don't want to do is start making a lot of drastic changes every year, because for this to be successful, there needs to be consistency. So there might be slight changes down the road, but as of now, there's no plan to add to or take away. Culture is the next core area. Under culture, we have employee engagement, a substance abuse and awareness program, safety program goal setting and reviews, leadership safety meetings, new hire orientation, employee safety training, safety disciplinary process, and leadership and safety training. And then the last area is leadership. Under leadership, we have leadership and management participation, safety mission statement, safety procedures, safety trainings and resources, employee safety evaluation, performance and review. As you know, leadership is the key to a successful company. and a successful safety program. When you look at successful companies, leadership's typically involved and actively involved in implementation, practice, and development of the safety programs. With the point system, under each subcategory will be a criteria that you have to meet, which will put you in either a 12.84 or 0. 12 being the highest point category and 0 being that you really have no policy in place for that particular area. So for example, if you're going through your evaluation process and you meet 8 out of the 10 standards in the 12-point category, then at that point you'll either need to make arrangements to fix the deficiencies or reevaluate your program to see you might fall back into the 8-point category. Does that make any sense? Because the scoring system, to explain it, can be a little difficult to understand, but once you look at the online application, it kind of makes more sense if you can see it in person. After review of the safety program, you will calculate the points for each subcategory and then total your points together. Based on your total accumulated points, you'll fall into one of these levels. Platinum being 240 to 276, gold, silver, and bronze. At this point, whatever category you fall into, say if you finish your evaluation and you fall into the gold category, there is no time limit on when you start the process. If it takes you a month, that's perfectly fine. This wasn't designed to be a competition. It was designed to as kind of a checks and balances and to evaluate your programs. So if you have aspirations of being a NUCA STAR Platinum level and you fall into the gold, you can make those adjustments and reevaluate yourself before you submit the application. I know I saw Kurt was on here and he's seen the program, how in depth that it is. This wasn't designed so that it can be done in half an hour. It was designed that it's going to take some time. I would venture to say, it could take up to a week to even longer, because there is a lot of detail, and it's one of those things. It's what you put into this is what you'll get out of it. The verification process. Once the application is submitted and all supporting documents are uploaded, supporting documents could be your safety policies, your mission statements, training records, and sign-in sheets. The NUCA STAR Review Board will have 10 business days to evaluate that application. What I will say on this, so it's 10 business days, but if a member of the review board needs some clarification, the only foreseeable way I see this being more than 10 days is if if myself or one of the review members have to reach out for supporting documentation. And the NUCA STAR Review Board, the review board will consist of 4 individuals from the safety committee, and the board will consist of volunteers from the safety committee and be rotated every year for consistency and unbiased decisions. So for the NUCA STAR committee, the review committee, right now it's myself, it's Julie Hansen and Kirk, and then I have one more person I'm waiting for verification from. And this will be rotated every year starting on June 1st. So there won't be any bias, or it kind of falls in line with that consistency. The process for submissions. So if you go to the NUCA website and you go under safety, you'll see the STAR program, and there's a detailed outline of the NUCA STAR program that covers the criteria for each subcategory. Will be available online. There's also a paper version that you can print and submit also. And again, although there's no time limit on the submission process, I do want to mention that once the application is submitted, you have to wait 1 year before you resubmit. So you will have the ability to log in and start your evaluation, and then say you get maybe a quarter way through, you can save that that form, and it will send you a separate email to log back into where you uh, stopped at. But you just have to make sure that every time that you log out of this submission or out of the evaluation form, that you save it and get that separate email. Again, there's no time limit on this. Once you start the process, it can take however long. Also, members who do fall into the platinum level NUCA STAR, to maintain that, you don't have to submit every year. You just have to resubmit an application every 3 years. That way, if there's any amendments made within that time frame, you can adjust to those. But that doesn't mean, if you are a NUCA Platinum this year and next year there's amendment, you don't have to make any changes at that point. It's when you resubmit your application. Submission date, the NUCA STAR program, it's available all year round. There is no cutoff date, and submissions can be made at any time during the year. Members who reach the platinum level will be required to resubmit an application every 3 years to maintain platinum level, and there is no time limit once the application is started. However, once the application is submitted and the review and a decision is made, members may not resubmit for another year. So that's why it's important, if you go through your evaluation process and you fall at a category below platinum, to make those adjustments before you submit. So to make sure that you're comfortable with the level that you're at before that submission is made. Application fee, there is no application fee to participate in the NUCA STAR program. However, members can make a donation to the Safety Ambassadors Club for future safety, educational and training resources. That will also go to adding content to the new learning management system and expanding our in-person training catalog. NUCA STAR recognition, once a member submits an application and the verification process is completed, they will receive a formal letter and certificate with the level that they fall into. Members who participate will also be recognized at the Safety Directors Forum this year. In order to be recognized at the Safety Directors Forum, you need to have your submissions in by November 1st. And lastly, we have the NUCA STAR All-Star Award. At the 2023 annual convention, members who fall into the platinum category will be evaluated, and one member will receive the NUCA STAR All-Star Award. So we'll take all of the platinum level NUCA STAR participants, and then the review board will go over that, and we'll decide one overall NUCA STAR Award, All-Star Award. And that concludes the presentation. Now it's time for some questions.
So is the application on the web now?
It is on the website now currently, yes.
Okay. So everything we need is there to get started.
That's correct. Yep.
Hey, Mike, can you do me a little bit and talk a little bit about the benefits of it other than having a safe environment?
The benefits for it is, again, it's what you want to get out of it. So when you go through the evaluation process, it's about those checks and balances, and really critiquing your safety standards and your safety program. The benefits also, like CNA, I know that they recognize, when ABC has the STEP program, they recognize them and they endorse them. So that's kind of where we're trying to get to right now.
Mike, I may have missed this. Did you cover, if someone's at a certain level this year, how do you guys advise them how to get to the next level?
Yes, we can. Once the application is submitted and the review board goes through the process, then the member that submitted will get they'll get their letter. And if they have any questions on how they can achieve that next level, they can reach out directly to me, and I can kind of guide them on or give them the resources that they need to achieve that.
Okay,
But
great, thanks.
you can resubmit every year. So if you're comfortable at the gold level, and next year you want to implement some different policies or standard operating procedures, then when you reevaluate next year, you could strive to be that platinum level.
Okay.
So Mike, is this somehow based upon the man hours for your company? You know, because that end of the year platinum award that you're going to give may be very difficult for very small companies to compete in, you know, to get to that level because they're short staffed, you know. So how are you going to balance that in this system? You know, the safety awards have that balance.
Good question.
Again, it's not really a competition, and
I know.
right. And we will look at man hours, and we'll look at how many man hours to how many employees and how big the companies are. And we'll, when the time comes, we'll take all that into consideration. Obviously, we know that smaller companies might be a little more difficult. So all that's going to be taken into consideration.
Hey, Mike, I was wondering, are you also looking at some of the larger screening places like ISNet and Avetta, and if documentation is housed there, can we still submit that to you, or do you do a search of that, or are they linked in any way?
They're not linked in any way, no. Whatever, when you go through the evaluation process, whatever documentation or that you want to submit would have to be submitted directly through the website. We're not connected with anything else, no.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, is there going to be narratives that would be submitted, or is this all based on documentation? Or I guess I'm kind of curious how the format works and how the judges are kind of seeing the information.
When you say narratives, can you give me like a little more explanation on that?
So we've competed in the Construction Safety Excellence Award through AGC on a national level, and they required a very strenuous process to basically submit a narrative that explains your program. It explains, you know, what leadership means to your organization, and what management commitment and employee engagement, all those hot buttons for safety programs. And I guess I'm curious if this is a similar type of a process that is a narrative that we would need to write to explain all that to you guys, or is this a little bit more cut and dry? I guess I'm kind of curious how the process works there on what exactly is submitted.
It's a little more cut and dry. Again, as this program evolves, that might be something that we introduce in the future. But as of now, you're not required to write a narrative. Think like forms of documentation you might need to submit will be your your vision, maybe your company vision statement or your safety program vision statement. But as of now, there's no narrative that you have to write. It's kind of more cut and dry. And when you look through the evaluation process, it'll kind of put that into more perspective.
So is a lot of this based on the lagging indicators, the OSHA numbers, EMR, things of that nature, or is this more leading indicator, more? I mean, it looked like there were some things there talking about toolbox talks and trainings and things of that nature. So it looks like there's kind of maybe a mixture there. But is it so? A lot of this, it could basically come down to how well your safety record is.
Correct. I would, if I had to summarize, I'd say it would be a kind of a combination of both.
Okay.
Mike, if I might add, I would encourage everybody to take a look at at some of the criteria and look at those checklists. I really like the way you put this program together, because one of the things I feel is that the little contractor has every bit as much ability, if not maybe in some cases a little more ability, to have a greater impact than some of the larger participants. For example, senior leadership taking part in your safety program. At a smaller company, that's easier to do. So I think that there are some great opportunities for small companies to really show off their safety programs as well.
Another quick question here. Is this something that could be shared with other contractors to see what other folks are doing so we can all learn from each other? Or is all this just go to those 4 judges and it's kind of in a closed system? And again, going back to some of the things that have worked really well for the CSEA through AGC, works great because they put together a document every year that highlights some of the programs where somebody might say, hey, I've got this 3-legged stool, and this is what we do. We say safety, quality, and production all have an equal, importance. And so if one of those legs were to fall out, then the whole program were to fall. So that's just one example of a lot of the ideas that maybe a company might put together that shows and highlights that organization and how they succeed and what some of the things that they've implemented. So again, just curious if there's any way of having some of this shared throughout the industry to help each organization, especially the smaller companies.
Yeah,
I agree. That's how we become successful, is by sharing information. We're all in this together. One of the reasons NUCA is successful as it is because we're all in this together, and that applies to safety as well. I think that if any one of us has a really winning, way of doing things, gosh, let's share it. Let's get that message out so we can all be better. Safety is as ugly for every one of us as safety is ugly for all of us. We should share our successes and we should become better.
100% agree.
Do I have any more questions right now? If I don't have any questions, I would encourage everybody to get onto the NUCA website and take a look at the program. If you have any questions once you take a look at the program and you go through it, feel free to reach out via email, call me. I'll do my best to answer all the questions that you might have. All right, so if I don't have any questions, I will end on this. I will be doing a webinar every Thursday for at least the next 2 to maybe 3 weeks, just until we get this on the ground. So if you know of anybody that couldn't make it or want to recommend it, feel free to. And looking forward to a successful program.